Going into the fourth episode of Season 27's Blind Auditions, the only coach on The Voice who still had a replay in their back pocket was John Legend, who quipped it would be hard to use because he's always correct the first time. But that was before he heard Antonio Ramsey. Ramsey revealed that he is primarily a dancer, but The Voice, of course, is all about voices. Though host Carson Daly advised him to focus on the singing, he couldn't help but move around while performing Bobby Brown's Every Little Step. While the audience was into it, and the coaches were having fun, Michael Bublé and Adam Levine were even singing to one another. It wasn't a strong enough vocal performance for anyone to turn their chair. John Legend used his coach replay on Antonio Ramsey during The Voice Season 27 blinds. "I love that song," Levine told Ramsey, though Bublé added that it was a difficult song, and the coaches agreed that Ramsey had been a bit pitchy. Legend praised his depth and richness, but posited that the song wasn't the best showcase for it, and asked what mid-tempo tune Ramsey could have chosen instead. "Sing a little bit," he offered. Ramsey delivered a few bars of Knockin' the Boots by H-Town off the cuff, and it sealed the deal. "Okay, let's do this," Legend said casually, pressing his button and using his replay. And with that, Antonio Ramsey officially joined Team Legend. Aspiring singers pour their guts out on stage during The Voice blind auditions in the hopes of impressing the celebrity coaches and landing a seat on one of their teams. The enthusiasm surrounding these auditions is usually electrifying. Antonio Ramsey's rendition of Bobby Brown's classic song, Every Little Step, stands out among the other moments from The Voice Season 27. As the pressure gets higher with each contestant's performance, there is one moment that sticks out among the rest. Due to the fact that his performance was so powerful, it was awarded the highly sought final replay of the show. This elevated him to the status of a notable competitor even before the bouts. The blind auditions on The Voice are an experience that is one of a kind for both the participants and the fans on the show. The coaches, who are also seasoned musicians, are sat with their backs to the stage, and they are exclusively depending on the contestant's voice to make their selection. Consequently, each and every note, breath, and voice nuance is taken into consideration. The interpretation of Every Little Step that Antonio performed, which featured a soulful beat and an irresistible energy, was a risk that paid off in ways that no one could have anticipated. At the moment that Antonio struck the first note, the atmosphere in the room began to change, and when the coaches turned their chairs, the audience realized that they were about to go on an unforgettable journey. One of the future's brightest stars, Antonio Ramsey. The Voice Season 27 blind auditions were the occasion on which Texas-born singer Antonio Ramsey, who is 25 years old, made his debut on the show. Antonio may not have had the vast resumes of some of the other contenders, but what he brought to the stage was something that was significantly more valuable: unbridled enthusiasm and an evident ability to connect with his audience. It was not only a risk for him to select Every Little Step, a song that is well known for its lively tempo and powerful groove, but it was also a statement that he made. Antonio's objective was not simply to make a good impression on the coaches. Rather, he wanted to demonstrate that he was capable of commanding the stage by taking ownership of every note, every dancing move, and every high-energy moment. It was immediately apparent that Antonio had a captivating presence on stage. His voice was silky and powerful, and it flowed effortlessly through the venue. He nailed every note with pinpoint accuracy, while at the same time giving room for emotional depth. As he went through the song, he imbued his performance with his own distinctive flair, incorporating elements of soul and R&B to give the song a contemporary spin. It was more than simply a cover. It was a reinvention, a classic song that felt new and thrilling. The performance was more than just a cover. Antonio did more than just sing Every Little Step. He exuded the spirit of the song. At the moment that Antonio reached the chorus with his full voice, the atmosphere in the room began to change. The vocal force and dominating stage presence that he possessed drew the attention of the coaches. The first person to press her button was Coach Kelly Clarkson, who did so as the song reached its highest point. When Antonio played a soaring high note, her chair turned around at precisely the same moment, which caused a rush of excitement to spread across the crowd. Not only was Kelly Clarkson thrilled by Antonio's talent, but also by his general personality and connection to the song, as evidenced by her immediate reaction, which made it evident that she was impressed and impressed. Even more impressive was the fact that Antonio's performance continued to attract the attention of the other coaches. The next person to click his button was John Legend, who was already lured in by Antonio's silky and opulent tone. After that, Coach Michael Bublé arrived, and after hearing Antonio's voice, which was both silky and energetic, he couldn't seem to resist the impulse to turn around. As of this time, Antonio had captured the attention of 3 of the 4 coaches, all of whom were anxious to include him into their own teams. At long last, the music stopped playing and Antonio was left standing on stage with 3 eager coaches competing for his focused attention. There was a time in the history of The Voice that was both unique and exciting. 3 of the most powerful coaches in the show had been so inspired by a performance that they all wanted to collaborate with Antonio. The moment of the closing replay. In the fast-paced world of The Voice, the renowned final replay is only given to the performances that are considered to be the most extraordinary. It is not simply any audition that receives this honor, rather, it is reserved for moments that elevate the season and make an indelible imprint not just on the coaches, but also on the viewers. It was one of those performances that Antonio Ramsey gave, and it was his rendition of every little step. Following the audition, the producers of The Voice came to the conclusion that Antonio's performance was so exceptional that it should be relived by both the viewers and the fans of the show. It was then that the final replay section was presented, which gave the audience the opportunity to observe Antonio's impressive audition once more, but this time with even more background information. As a result of the coaches' comments being fresh in their minds, viewers were able to concentrate on the complexities of Antonio's performance. The playback brought to light the unfiltered feeling that he injected into the song, the manner in which he managed his vocal runs, and the charisma that emanated from him with each and every action. Fans were able to relive the electrifying moment when Kelly Clarkson, John Legend, and Michael Bublé rotated their chairs as the replay became more and more detailed. The audience was able to feel the excitement that was in the air as they saw Antonio take control of the stage. When I watched it again, his performance was equally as thrilling as it was when I saw it for the first time. There was no denying the tremendous presence that he had on stage, and the enchantment of that particular moment seemed to echo throughout the atmosphere. Reactions from the coaches on Antonio's effectiveness. Following the broadcast of the final replay, the coaches discussed their impressions of Antonio's performance, and it was evident that they were just as enthralled by him as the spectators were. The praise that Kelly Clarkson offered was lavish, as she is not one to hold back when it comes to expressing her respect for others. This is what Kelly had to say about Antonio. "You have such a powerful and soulful voice. You provide a newness to this song that is truly great, and I really appreciate it. In addition to that, however, what truly sets you apart is the intensity and presence you exude on stage. I completely adore the way in which you are able to illuminate the entire space. You have the potential to become a superstar, and I can't wait to collaborate with you." The response from John Legend, who is known for his ability to deliver performances that are both smooth and soul-driven, was equally enthusiastic. "Antonio, you have such a warm and deep tone to your voice. Your contribution to this song was very remarkable, and the prospect of collaborating with you is something that I am very enthusiastic about. You are someone who is able to command the stage, which is a quality that is quite valuable." Like everyone else, Michael Bublé, who is well known for his profound commitment to music and performance, was unable to contain his joy. "Antonio, your voice has the ability to captivate people in an instant. Not only did you perform the song, but you also made it your own composition. An old favorite has been given a contemporary spin by you, and I believe that this is something truly remarkable. I would be delighted to assist you in discovering your voice and elevating it to the next level." Although Antonio maintained his modesty in the face of all of this acclaim, it was obvious that he was honored by the attention. "Thank you so much for the love and support," he conveyed with a smile that stretched from ear to ear. "This is a dream come true, "And I'm just really excited to get started with whichever coach I end up with," she said. "Everything is about to happen. This is where I come to give everything that I have." An influence that Antonio has had on the Voice audience. The audition of Antonio Ramsey not only caused a stir within the studio of The Voice, but it also created an indelible impression on the public that was watching at home by themselves. In terms of voice control, stage presence, and intensity, his rendition of Every Little Step was a masterclass demonstration. During this season, it was very evident that Antonio was someone to keep an eye on. He was not merely another participant, rather, he was a rising star in the making. As supporters took to social media to express their views, many of them brought up the fact that Antonio's performance had established a new standard for the remainder of the season. It was because of him that The Voice received a surge of energy that would reverberate throughout the entirety of the competition. Immediately following the replay, fans turned to social media platforms such as Twitter and Instagram to express their enthusiasm. Hashtags such as #AntoniaRamsey and #EveryLittleStep became popular. It has been a very long time since I have felt even remotely thrilled about a competitor on The Voice. What Antonio is bringing to the table is something that is both different and interesting. One of his supporters tweeted, "He has my vote." "Antonio Ramsey just demonstrated to all of us what it means to be the master of the stage," said another. "I can hardly wait to find out what comes next." "A star is born," the conclusion states. In season 27 of The Voice, the performance of Every Little Step by Antonio Ramsey was a moment that changed the course of the competition. The riveting performance that he gave not only earned him the right to compete in the final REP Gala, but it also won over the hearts of both the coaches and the audience. The fact that he was able to infuse a traditional song with his own distinctive style and intensity made him one of the contenders who stood out the most during the competitive season. Despite the fact that the competition is getting more intense, it is abundantly evident that Antonio Ramsey is a formidable opponent, and he is unquestionably going to continue to make headlines as the season unfolds. What is the coach replay rule change on The Voice? As Daly outlined to the coaches during the season 26 premiere, when the audition is over, you have a second chance to go back and get that artist by pressing your button. Each coach is given one to use during the blind auditions, allowing them to retroactively turn for an artist even after the performance is done. In season 26, all 4 replays were used to save artists who hadn't received any turns. But in season 27, new coach Kelsey Ballerini innovated a novel use. Dan Kiernan earned chair turns from both Legend and Michael Bublé. But after hearing a bit more of his story, Ballerini realized she wanted him for her team and should have pressed her button. Thankfully, she had the replay, which she used to put her hat in the ring, and Kiernan ended up on Team Kelsey.